the feedback from across the country. But what's the fate of other parties as NRM starts rolling out their roadmap? Are other parties in limbo? Are they really eyeing the 2026 behind the pronouncements? We'll be looking at that. My guest tonight, I have Dr. Tanga Odoi, the Chairman, Electoral Commission of the National Resistance Movement. Good to have you, and I hope all is well. We have Council Benjamin Katana, the party treasurer of the leading opposition party.
You can't remember.
No, I haven't.
You're forgetting.
The National Unity Platform. Our frontliner, Ofono Pondo, former executive director of the Media Center and currently an aspirant who wants to represent the elderly, the old persons in Parliament.
MP2B.
MP2B.
Yes. No, not old persons.
Older persons.
Older persons. Thank you for the correction. Our frontliner.
What did you have for supper that you get things you couldn't
Nothing
remember?
really.
You couldn't remember the Pope's name. You couldn't remember his party's.
It's deliberate to catch your attention.
Or it is the excitement of the new Pope.
No, we have the new Pope, definitely. Frontliner MP for Chira Municipality, Honorable Ssemujju Ibrahim Nganda, is also in the house. Good to have you and a very good evening.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Tanga, I'll start with you. How would you evaluate Tuesday's party primaries?
Thank you very much for having me here. I think, like you said, the NRM sets the ball rolling. We've set the ball rolling. We pray that other political players and political parties follow suit because Justice Bebakama released the roadmap. Well, we have started with our party structure elections across 72,000 villages. By the time business closed this evening, we had virtually filled all positions in the 72,000 villages. All positions.
Yeah, but this exercise was slated for Tuesday from 10 to 2. What explains the hiccups that characterized everything?
Well, it was slated for 12 to 2 or 12 to 1. That is it. That's when election took place. But of course, we had a bit of rain. I was in Bunyaruguru yesterday. Actually, I left Mbarara this morning because I came back to Mbarara very late in the night. Election did not even start at midday. We started at 2 because there was massive rain. We didn't have election in Bunyaruguru. Okay, we call it Rubirizi district on Tuesday because of that famous market day. So we had election on Wednesday, which was yesterday, and rain was too intense from morning. Actually, in most places we voted, people were actually lying in rain. The most important being where a woman, a lady came to challenge a man who was a model, parish development model, who president visited and gave some whatever token, appreciating him for what he had done. A lady came and swept him off. That one was in total rain. So we started the election, yes, on Tuesday, 12 to 2, but we did not complete in some areas affected by rain. We also had Kapelebiong, where an aspirant died. We had to put that off. We also had a bit of problems in Serere with the market, cattle market. So we put off here and there. And of course, like Kampala, which did not only have rain, but had mobilized goons running from place to place, disrupting election. So we had to fill a bit of those. And we didn't actually, it's actually not a bad exercise. We've now completed. And,
generally, how do you describe the grassroots exercise?
I think, first of all, the enthusiasm. People are so excited with LOC1 especially. LOC1 convoy in most of the cities attracted a lot of attention. I was in Mbarara city, and the convoy was so wild. People were everywhere singing and dancing. And I think it is because we've taken a bit of time. Even for structures, I saw a lot of competition in Mbarara, Kasanyalaze, something connected to Kasanyalaze zone, where ladies did not agree that actually they tried to convince them that why don't you caucus they didn't agree and the election did not take place.
Thank you.
So overall, I think we are good to go. We've started well, and I urge NRM members to polish up their behavior, because this is not the end of the world.
Honorable Ssemujju, what's your takeaway from NRM's grassroots elections? This time with the register.
Are they elections?
I saw people queuing
You see, state parties, because NRM and governments at the moment are inseparable. So this is like a government activity, and people looking for opportunities, generally not limited to NRM, but elections in Uganda. That's what they have become. I remember one time Parliament advertised about 20 jobs and 12,000 people applied. They had to ask Makerere, one of those schools in Makerere, to help them do some elimination, because you have 30 slots, people who have applied. If you have followed recruitment in the military, recruitment in police, there will be a stampede, because these are jobs. People are not working in Uganda. To be an LSC chairperson, to be an NRM chairperson, because in some areas, even where NRM has lost village election, the NRM chairman in a village is larger than a village chairman.
The LC one.
The LC one. So that is a job. They are going to be involved in a PDM, they are going to be involved in this and that. So this exercise had, so the enthusiasm Dr. Tango Doi is proud about should have been obvious that it would happen, because people are looking for NRM jobs and they think the participation in this election. But also at the parliamentary level within the NRM, these elections, people are being elected, especially in areas where they have a following, will play a role in mobilizing and helping those who want to be NRM candidates for parliamentary, I think for LOC. So while you are seeing some ladies and old men, behind them they are very powerful people. Already those who want to represent elderly, old persons are very active. So the village elections are not limited to village issues. Eventually those people will be the one mobilizing and influencing who takes which position.
Honorable Ssemujju, a number of things were quite unprecedented in this election.
Yeah.
The president, for the first time, brought everything to a halt. He asked Parliament to vacate, to take a break. He asked all his ministers and MPs. There was no cabinet meeting. Everything came to a standstill.
But they usually do that. You see, NRM is the majority in Parliament. Even when he calls an NRM caucus meeting on a day that you have a sitting, in the past, speakers never used to attend NRM caucuses. Now they do. But also, even when they were not attending, because NRM opposition in this parliament were about 110. So the rest NRM or NRM leaning. So when they leave parliament, it's very difficult for you to conduct business. I saw it in the media. I don't know whether it was formal that he said parliament must not sit and cabinet must not sit. I don't know. But in the past, it has happened the same way. When you have NRM elections and the speaker and the deputy and everybody else goes away, parliament certainly cannot continue. But this, you see, for you to evaluate NRM, it will be after they have gone, after they have lost power. Then you will know there was no NRM. I was born in Chazang. I saw UPC going to Bushenyi. You would think the whole world is going to Bushenyi with Obote. State parties will always be that size. They are big, because you have the whole state deployed.
Can we use?
I read one of the newspapers quoting Dr. Tango Doi complaining that RDCs were overbearing.
Some RDCs.
Yeah.
Did you see the former minister was fighting with the RDC?
So this was a state activity, not NRM. So the entire state, as you have described it, parliament, the cabinet, so everybody will go to participate or to help to ensure that NRM elections have happened. I saw military people.
Would you use this election as a barometer to test the popularity of NRM on the ground?
I have told you, Simon, state parties are like that. Even UPC was like that. It is now in one sub-region. I was born in Chazang. I've told you we were lining up roads when Obote was in Mercedes-Benz convoy going to Busheng.
And the presumption was everyone on the road was UPC.
We would start rehearsals. Even us who were in Chazang, we are meant to line the road and begin singing. I was in primary. Because the head of state, chairman of UPC, whichever title he gave himself, was going to Busheng. So it was also almost mandatory. So state parties are not different. Wherever they are, the whole state will be deployed. The other day I saw my sister Kasue Lumumba telling civil servants, if you are not NRM, you will have to lose that job.
Thank you. Council Benjamin, does NUP have anything to pick from NRM grassroots elections?
Well, a lot to pick in terms of lessons. The only lessons I think NUP can pick from the NRM is not what to do. If you want to see the worst of NRM organize an election, you will see violence. I'm sure earlier on I alluded to a video involving the former minister Mbayo fighting with another DC. In Kabare, there is a man who was killed. I saw in the news. There's a woman whose picture has been trending.
With the mouth beaten.
Yes. And several other cases I saw in Gaba. People fighting and in different places. So you will see violence. You will see rigging. You will see incompetence.
So elections depict the worst bit of NRM.
Bit of NRM. And so this one was not an exception. There are, of course, other aspects of that election that relate to why Uganda is where it is in terms of its transformation journey. But that is the consensus of NRM. You saw the vice president and other people lining up to vote. It comes off as a 19th century practice, but that is the consensus of the NRM, and if it does not violate any of our laws, that's their business. But what concerns and should concern all of us is the bad manners in the politics that the NRM people take pride in so much that has polluted our political environment. So the fighting, the messiness that you talked about earlier relate to, they have a relationship with why Uganda is where it is after closed 4 decades of NRM in power.
There could perhaps be something good about the exercise that you'd write home about.
Well, I'm yet to see it. You can share if there is anything
For
good
me,
that you saw.
for me, Simon,
They had a calendar event.
I remember when you had issues in FDC, I said they create to NRM. First, there was an exercise to register members. It doesn't matter how it went. They had their register out. They announced a program to go and conduct the election. Problems associated with the elections notwithstanding, the rest of us cannot take pride in not attempting to organize the election. I know if you visited all the parties here and asked them to produce a credible register for party members, it will be a nightmare.
Can we start from there? Mr. Katana, do you have a register?
Yes, sure, we do. We have been doing registration, both physical and online, and without any shadow of doubt, I can confirm that we have a party register, which is progressive.
How many members do you have as we speak?
The last I checked, the figure was about, should have been 10 million. Yes.
NRM boasts having 20.3 million. That's remarkable, isn't it?
Well,
You have how many? 10 point what?
I said the last I checked was about 10 million. But I was confirming his question that indeed there is a register, both physical and online.
What was the good, the bad, and the ugly of NRM grassroots elections? He's now retired.
Chairman for all the people in his village.
In Mulan.
MP to be.
First of all, I know Ssemujju said on this show that I would make a good or even a better MP.
I hope that wasn't
without a doubt.
And I hope he puts for me some little fuel to reach my voters.
No, I'll ask people in the children not
Yes,
to vote
I
for
want
you.
to confirm to the viewers that I resigned last month. Today, I formally handed over office. Last week, I was in Tororo, I was in Teso. Partly to consult on my own candidature, but also to check NRM. Because this NRM, I'm a founder, the party. This is the first time the NRM is having a formal, credible members and voters register. With all your name as you wrote, as you gave, with your name, in some cases with their date of birth and telephone number.
You had complaints from people who were saying...
No, I am giving you. If you have 23 million people in 72,000 villages, you cannot expect no complaint. Even the one of Yawakama. Even in schools which just have 400, 800 children.
So the flows are negligible.
Listen, you see, you like galloping. 3 years ago, Makerere University, where we have only educated people, the university administration could not tell the number
of students.
Of the students. Makerere University.
Yeah.
They could not tell
I
the
had
number
issues
of
with them over that.
You remember the issues we had in Makerere?
Yeah.
Faculty by faculty, they couldn't. So, those mistakes or weaknesses notwithstanding, I am saying this is the first time the NRM is having a relatively credible register.
If I could just pop in here. In 2014, Amama claimed to have a credible register for NRM.
Did you ever see it?
I'm saying I was his spokesperson at that time. I did not see that register. I think it was lip service. And this is a matter we have said here before. When the Right Honorable Mavaz was removed as Secretary General, he did not hand over that register. This on record, we have said here before. Justina Kasori attempted to create a register. It was not successful. And remember, in 2020, as a result of that, the chairman of the party came out on the last day, on the eve, because there was no credible register, and said, let everybody who says they are NRM during the day allow them to vote. It was a big mistake or weakness, but it allowed us select candidates and leaders who have served us up to today. We don't have very big issue, by the way, on that pronouncement, even when we elected people without a formal register. At least they gave us members of parliament
336
and leaders at the various levels. I am now telling the country that for the first time NRM has a register that you go to polling station Mulanda Yago of where Ofono is, and you will find there 272 members of
Yes.
NRM. About 232 of them turned up on
Wow,
Monday.
good.
I was at that polling station at about 9. The registrar delayed because apparently he lives in Toro Town, which is 17 kilometers. And it also rained, but I think he just didn't have the discipline. Because this is his home. I asked him why he had to go back to sleep in town when he knew he had a big task in the morning. But anyway, that is past now. So in a number of polling stations that I moved to after, I noticed that voting delayed by an hour or so. Now you can even imagine villagers, you have a register, and the registrar is reading name by name. Even if you say there were only 100, by the time you read all the 100 names, probably that will take you 2 hours. Because somebody is disputing, somebody is saying this, somebody
is dead, alive,
and so forth. But generally, the register is credible, generally speaking. There may be double entries. For example, in my case, initially I registered in Mukono where I live. I have not bothered to cross-check if the system deleted me automatically upon detecting
That
my name,
double
for
entry.
example.
So how did you transfer to Mulanda?
No, I did not transfer. When we started NRM, I registered as a member in Mukono. However, as we were updating, I went and updated in Mulanda. Now, my expectation was that the computer application system
It must have been deleted.
would detect my name. But I have not cross-checked in Mukono whether I appear there. But I suspect I could have been deleted.
It's now knocked
So
off.
anyway, the point I'm making, the register now exists. By and large,
With how many members?
I don't have the entire
What?
register. I am giving you mine. I am giving you of my
No, I
polling
can tell
station.
him that by the time we
Yes.
went to the voters register is about 19.4.
Yes.
Now, this exercise was as if was also an audit. Listen, Nganda.
But that goes
This
on.
was an audit where the dead are knocked off. The double entry like Ofono Pondo, Mukono would say he has left here, he's knocked off. Those who have migrated, they will say that one migrated. So that by the time we give you a final position next week, we shall have scanned through all the registers to find out who died since we captured.
After election, so you are still compiling
Yeah,
the
yeah.
register.
No,
Yes.
you know, you audit, the best audit of register in a mass party is the baraza.
Yeah. So we stood in our polling station. The register read name by name, and when they read your name, it tells you go this side. Once that is done, once that was done, then they started the electoral process, starting with party structure, which
Yes.
were not very controversial. In many instances, I noticed that our village leaders had done some mobilization, and consensus had been built around positions, particularly the position of chairperson of leagues,
Yes.
women, youth, PWD, older persons, and things like that. And even the chairperson of the party at the village level. In my area, the contention was mostly
LC.
for the flag bearer for LC1 chairman. I guess because of the authority they have, including the famous stamp, which enables them to preside over
Collective money.
local issues. Local issues.
Right.
Now,
It is social status,
Yes,
social status.
Honorable Ssemujju is saying people come because of jobs. Yes, that may be true.
Opportunists.
Yes, I want to wait when PFF
Is launching them.
is holding elections. If they hold elections at all at the grassroots, I am waiting to see in my village
Yes.
how many people will rush
For people.
to get the job of PFF in Mulanda Yago.
Council Katana says
in Mulanda Yago.
You misunderstood
No, no,
me.
no.
For the
I
point
didn't
was
misunderstand
making.
you.
People look at this as a state. They
Yeah.
don't look at this as
But
party.
even yours would be a
The
job.
same way people were
Even-
registering for UPC. It's the same way they are registering for NRM.
Even yours would be a job. So I'm simply saying I'm waiting to see if the people of Mulanda will rush for the job in PFA.
And
Thank you very much.
So now you had said the outcome. For me, I am not even very bothered. This again, by the first time, generally speaking, violent and fraudulent behavior existed, isolated, because if you have 72,000 polling stations, you cannot expect all those people to behave well. For example, at mile 8, on your way from Toro towards Bustema, when I was driving back, I found a crowd and a police truck. When I stopped, I asked the police, what is happening? They said the registrar tried to announce figures that did not tally with what, because the voting was by lining. So clearly, if one line had 10 people and another one had 60, and then you try to switch, so they wanted to lynch the registrar, and he fled. He threw everything down. But yes. But I'm saying that was an isolated incident that I witnessed, and the police told me. And I stayed there for about an hour. The man was brought back with his books and was compelled by the villagers to announce.
So generally, you would say NRM nailed it this time.
I think so. And then Mr. Katana is saying 14th century method of voting. First of all, what is the principle of NRM? To empower the local person.
And
Second
principle, cheat elections.
I'm saying the first principle and the most important principle. If a local person is able to stand behind Ofono and not Ssemujju the minister, and the minister has nothing they can do to that person, and the results stand, like in the case you are referring to of Honorable Mbayo, who stood, and the villagers said, yes, ma'am, you are our MP for the second term. You have even been a minister for the presidency, presiding over RDCs, but we are not going to give you this job of secretary, general secretary for our village. For me, that courage, and for me, I want to...
Minister Nambozo? In Sirongo?
Yes, Sirongo. Minister Nambozo, the minister of state for Karamoja. So for me...
Is it true that even Silwani? Silwani.
So for me...
even Silwani, they told me even Silwani had problems.
For me, that speaks...
Even a better idea.
And by the way, that will even help us with this thing of corruption and people using money. Because you can use money...
Would you want to suggest a similar process for the national elections?
No.
Yeah, for LOC1 is lining up.
No. I am saying...
LOC1 at national level.
It may even help us with people who say they have brought lots of money. If the voters can eat your money and vote the correct position...
Thank you.
Thank you. For me, that lining up shows the courage that Ugandans now have.
No, but just one second. That very archaic method is used by Justice Bakaman's commission for LOC election.
Does it make it fine?
LOC election.
It was imposed on
LOC
them.
election.
It was imposed on them because of money.
No, LOC election.
I remember when they brought the amendment to Parliament, initially they wanted over 300 billion shilling.
For the LOC1
between the cabinet
so
and the Parliament.
Does that make it a cake? It makes it...
Honorable Ssemujju.
Yes.
Something that sticks out, that remains a point of contention again, is the issue of numbers. Yesterday, NRM demonstrated the power of numbers.
Yes. You see, in all the elections,
they are now at 19.4. 19.4.
I think the highest amount of votes Mr. Museveni ever got as a presidential candidate was 5.2 million votes. 5.2 million.
Are you sure?
No, 2021 he got 6.8.
Yeah.
Okay, 6.
Well, this selective memory, I think.
Yeah, but I'm not a computer that you just press a button and then you get. Okay, 4.85. That's the total number of votes he has been getting with massive rigging. The 20, and that's why Tango Doi is accused in some villages, they were just picking the electoral commission register and turning it into the NRM. I have said they are choosing him. I have no evidence.
When was that?
This
last election?
No, this register of yours, in some villages, it is the same as the register of the electoral
No.
I have told you I haven't,
Okay,
I haven't looked at it. So
an allegation.
I have no evidence beyond what is said. But for you to claim that you have
19.
You have 19. See, that's how they misled Museveni about Kawempe. They told him on the Tanga Odoi's register, NRM has 25,000 registered members. On the voting day, the NRM candidate got 8,000. So in their internal meetings, as Museveni was quarreling, as he usually does, he was asking them, where did these people on the register go? Having spent his money to mobilize them, they disappeared.
Is this insistence on numbers psyching us for?
In some of the elections I have covered as a journalist, in the north at one time, there are polling stations where Mr. Museveni got 0. He again was asking, where is the NRM structure, which is supposed to have at least a minimum of 30 people per village who are in leadership?
He was rigged.
He was getting 0.
He was rigged. He claims.
So these numbers, you need to go back to the day NRM was being registered at the International Conference Center. Mr. Museveni had told Bidandisari and Chigongo that as you go to register the party, go with the 2 million people. Shock and awe, we must go with the entire world.
Where was that?
Where were you for now? I was in the media.
I was at the International Conference Center. I was part of the
I
group.
am telling you.
I was part of the group that formed the party.
Yes, I was in the media covering you.
Museveni
talked to you.
If you can
to say that 2 million people can go to one venue.
That's what he had ordered.
Past 2 million people in
I
national.
am telling you, that's what he ordered, that Chigongo and Bedadi should be accompanied by 2 million.
He wanted that aura.
Yes, he said, in fact, he used the word shock and we must go with the whole world as we are registering NRM. Eventually they didn't. I am telling you, I mean, what should be the motivation for me to lie?
We know you are motivated.
I think you are spicing it up.
So for the NRM chairman of the Electoral Commission to say they have 19 million, it is a lie beyond a lie of industrial scale that in Uganda you can have a party whose membership. That's why in the last election, as Ofono said, Museveni said, let everybody vote. Him, everybody is his member.
No has 10 million.
They don't have them. No party has beyond. You see, I supported Express as a football club for many years. I was never a member. In Uganda, people who are, even in America, even in Europe, I don't know of any party that has even 1 million members. It's not there. That's why the NRM...
Council Katana says they have 10 million.
They don't have them. NRM doesn't have them. If a party genuinely... Because you'll have people who support you, supporters. Supporters and members are different.
No, but
in Uganda...
If we make our register and the supporters come to register,
they automatically become members.
No, they just pick the
because there's no subscription fee.
They may not.
We don't have
They may not turn up to vote.
They just picked.
That number may not turn up to vote.
Okay,
you have your.
Okay,
so for me,
that literally brings us to 29 million voters.
Yeah, but just go to the population census. Children who are below.
No.
If two parties have 29.
If two parties have 29 million members.
Yes.
So you go to the population census. The children who are below 15 are more than the rest.
Well, NRM registered 16-year-olds.
I'm talking about 15 and below.
No, I'm saying NRM registered.
So you are registering maybe even cows.
No, we register from 16 years.
You don't have them. NRM,
we have them.
NRM doesn't
the
even
fact
have,
that you don't have
you don't
them
even have a quota. You don't even have a quota of what you are stating.
We have them. We have been the villages.
Even
we register our members at village level.
Does the fuss about numbers count at this time?
Why would it be? Why is it bothering him?
This is a psychological
if it doesn't count.
You claim what you don't have. People will actually think that you have. You see, one of the things that is bothering and continue bothering Museveni are crowds.
No, but
You go and read on Apito's book.
Simon.
You remember when he was swearing in here?
Simon.
Even held a meeting. I remember when Museveni was got nominated in 2001 and started working for Monda. He took us for a press conference with a footy ruler. And in 1996, he said, I had 2 million people in the call for my nomination, more than what Ssemujju had. He went to measure that this foot, the footy ruler, one person. And then he said there are 2 million. So he's so obsessed. I'm telling you.
What I saw.
And this Tango Doy and Ofono have run to him.
But
they can even tell him they are
yes, before Tanga comes in. Yes. You want to say something?
Yes.
Honorable Ssemujju, at the beginning of his submission,
Yes.
admitted here that because NRM has overwhelming number in Parliament,
Yes.
when NRM members withdraw for the caucus, Parliament can't
Collapses.
proceed. So surely, if NRM has that number in Parliament,
even the numbers,
there's a reflection. There's a reflection in the country.
even the numbers in Parliament, Wakiso I told you here, we are 3.4 million people with 9 MPs.
Are you saying
Karamoja with 1.5, they are 26 MPs.
Are you now retroactive
that's
that
how,
NRM
that's how
doesn't have
NRM
majority in Parliament?
fictitious numbers.
How fictitious?
Dr. Tango Doy, what is this obsession about numbers all about? Are you psyching us? So when you rig in 2026, we won't complain.
Well, if your neighbor, Honorable Ssemujju, does not believe NRM has the numbers, we are waiting for what PFF will actually have. We have the numbers, we have the registers. Our registration is at the village level. That's where we differ with Biamakama. Our election is at the village level. Our registration was at the village level.
Noop has 10 million.
We registered. I'm not talking here
Is
for
that
Noop.
contestable?
I don't
as well?
want to talk
Is
for Noop.
that contestable?
I even don't want to talk for Noop. Let them talk for themselves.
No, do you think they really have that support? Noop garnered 3-point-something votes in the 2021 election. Now they're saying they are registered tentatively, even under the hardships that they're experiencing. They have 10 million members.
Well, they say they've been registering. They say they've been capturing them online. Let's wait for what they will display. But NRM went to the grassroots. We did this twice. Went the first time, went the second time, and we have now gone to the Baraza level. If anyone contests the figures, the registers are there.
Council Katana.
First wait.
Council Katana, sorry, I'll get back to you. We want to take a very short break, but before we go in for a break, at least you would give it to NRM that they have started off somewhere, albeit the controversies and the mess that was witnessed. Where is Noop ahead of 2026?
Well, like I have mentioned, it is work in progress, despite the, because you see, we are talking about registration. We have registrars who have been arrested and registers confiscated by DPCs and RDCs. But work is ongoing. Recently, we have been forming structures in the different parts of the country. And the next step was to meet these leaders and orient them. We had one in Mbale for Eastern region. We were supposed to have one in Barara, and police came in and stopped it. So we are working. It is work in progress, but being frustrated by, and like Honorable Ssemujju mentioned, that there's a thin line, if at all it exists, between the NRM and the state of Uganda. So when you are competing with the NRM, you are competing with the state of Uganda, and therefore all the state agencies come together to make sure that you're not able to do what you're supposed to do. That's why even holding a rally, holding a meeting of 30 people becomes a problem. But the meetings we have been having that I mentioned of orienting these leaders were town hall meetings of sorts, held in halls, not even rallies, but they're being disrupted by the security agencies.
Do you have anything like a roadmap as Noop?
Of course, why not? The events I'm talking about are part of the roadmap.
Do you have a blueprint?
Of
For
course
instance,
we do.
what do we expect? May, June, July, August, September? Is there any blueprint, or you're doing things roba-doba?
No, that is just.
I think what you're asking.
No, just a second, just a second.
Being the second
No, because,
party in Uganda,
I
he
even-
needs to carve that detail. Because we are not here to debate for
Okay,
ourselves.
fine.
Yeah.
Give him a chance.
Yeah. So the roadmap is there, and
Where?
I've mentioned where should it be?
Out in the public.
Yes, and yesterday we were announcing and even sharing with the public. So if you didn't,
No, for the benefit of our viewers,
yes,
run us through NUP's roadmap.
yeah. So we are at the stage now of formation of those structures, both for the general, but also for the for the special interest groups. For the special interest groups, Ofono Pondo is talking about a gari. I will correct him. It's not a chigari. Yes, so
now you can see he's saying they have nothing to copy from NRM, but special interest groups is the idea of NRM actually.
no, it is